Hello, dear rock stars. We are so lucky today to be here with my good friend David Freund. I always get freaked out on saying your name. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you said it right. That's perfect.
David is a rock star. He starting things early, and he now is the founder of Global Citizen, right? For people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about what you're currently working on.
Okay, so I'm working on a venture called Global Citizen, and I'm creating international adventures for 18 to 34-year-old travelers. So the main destinations we're focusing on now is Thailand and Indonesia.
It sounds so grown up. Taking people to Thailand and Indonesia.
Yeah, we just go on full-fledged backpacking adventures.
Okay. This isn't your first venture.
No, I've had several ventures growing up. I would say like the first one probably started when I was 3 years old.
3?
Yeah, my mom, I think it was just honestly to keep me busy, but she would pay me 1 penny per pine cone to go pick up these pine cones and put them into plastic bags, and it was 25 to a bag, and I would go, I lived on a 2-acre lot that was just like a jungle, so I was busy all day just picking those things up, and then after I picked all those pine cones up, I would go to my neighbors' yards, and I would pick up all their pine cones, so I would bring it back and crush up the pine cones, and then my mom would use it as mulch, so.
3. I
Yep.
needed to meet your mother when I had 3-year-old. So at 3, you're out picking up pine cones.
Yeah.
And were you going to like the neighbors without your mom, or was she there?
I mean, we had a relationship. Like, all the people that I was going and picking up pine cones for, my mom knew. So she knew where I was going, and the yards. My mom, she was a real estate agent, so she was very well connected with everyone in the area. So when she was going to go show homes or whatever it be, I would be in the yard just picking up the pine cones.
I think that's amazing. You can remember that, like as the first formative thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what was most powerful about that? Do you remember?
I think it was, I mean, I was seriously like 3 or 4. Like, I learned how to count from putting the pine cones in the bags. But I think, like the big thing was making my own money. Like, I felt like what I was doing, and, I was getting $1 for every 100 pine cones, but I made that $1, and that was my dollar, so.
So after pine cones, what happened?
I started making like little beads. So picture like hearts and different types of shapes. Like, it was, I don't know, just like kind of art, and I would sell it to family members. I've had lemonade.
Now, what age were you at that point?
4.
I love this. Like, when we think about it, like, wow, 3 and 4, you're basically starting to say, I can bring something of value to the world.
I think so. I mean, I think really my parents were just trying to keep me busy.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely like ADHD, hyperactive, Dennis the Menace. If I wasn't kept busy, I was getting in trouble. So
how did that spiral? Were there things you did in middle school, high school?
in middle school, I had a lawn care company. So my parents got a trailer, and we would put the lawnmower on the trailer, and we would go to different houses that my mom would connect me to, my parents would connect me to
Right.
go mow their lawns. So I was doing that every single week, mowing multiple lawns. I had a
And
lemonade stand.
How did your parents act about the money that, as you started to make the money?
Mm-hmm. They loved it because they wanted to keep me hardworking.
Did they manage it, or did you manage that
I
money?
managed it, yeah. So, I mean, whatever I wanted to spend it on, I was able to spend it on. They didn't try to control that at all, which was really awesome.
And then high school?
High school, I had a video production company. So I was in a 4-year video production program at my high school in Loxahatchee called Seminole Ridge. And I was using my friend's camera to go shoot promotional videos. We started off with my mom's real estate company, got a little bit of money, kept working at it, doing photo gigs, saved up for equipment. So when I was in high school, we ended up purchasing over $10,000 in video equipment. And then I was going down to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and I was filming clubs and concerts. So I was able to film for producers like Sander Van Doorn, Steve Aoki. So I think
like a real deal.
Yeah, I was just having fun because I was 16, getting into 21 plus clubs, and
doing the video.
Mm-hmm.
Were they paying you, or?
Yeah, they were paying me.
Yeah.
I decided to leave that space because it was getting really difficult sometimes chasing the money that I deserved.
Yeah. Meaning getting paid after you did the work.
Exactly. Because if an event didn't sell out to expectations, the first thing they would do is try to cut all the media production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're Globalized Citizen. How did that start? Or maybe a better question for you is like, so you were already doing entrepreneurial things, but you chose to go to college.
I did. I kind of felt obligated from my family because if you were to ask me when I was 3 years old, are you going to college? I would say, yes, of course. I don't know what it is, but mom and dad always tell me that I have to go to college. So,
right.
Globalized Citizen really started, for me, I would say, the first experiences I had traveling.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was younger, my mother took me several times to Canada, family cruises. I was really exposed to being able to travel, and I was blessed in that way.
Yeah.
And my senior year of high school, I watched a YouTube video about Tomorrowland, a music festival in Belgium, and it really emotionally moved me watching this video. And I said, you know what, that's it. That's what I want to go do. So I planned a month and a half long trip around this music festival, which is in Western Europe.
And you're about how old at this point?
18.
Okay, so you saw the video and you started planning the trip.
Right, yeah. My mom actually packed my bag for me.
I love your mom. We need to have your mom
Absolutely. Yeah, she deserves a lot of credit for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So you went over, did you go by yourself? Or
I did. Yeah, I flew one way to Rome, and the plan was to backpack from Rome to Amsterdam, hitting the Tomorrowland Music Festival on the way. I had a friend from Finland who met me in Rome, but she ended up staying in Italy, so I ended up going through Mallorca, Barcelona, Germany, ultimately into Belgium, and then Amsterdam.
How long was that?
It was about a month and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to college in Copenhagen.
Okay.
And then I traveled a lot when that season of just a couple years later probably than you were, because I was in college. But really formative, going to Rome, going to different parts of Italy. So you're over there and you go to Tomorrowland.
Yeah, I met amazing people from all over the world, people I'm still friends with today, which is pretty incredible. Like, for example, I'm going to go to Singapore this summer, and I get to meet up with a bunch of Tomorrowland people that I met back in 2013. So it was awesome just to meet people from all over the world.
What happened during that trip that informed Globalized Citizen, do you think?
So when I flew into Rome, one of the first things I did was I went on a pub crawl. And I remember it was July 4th, and I ended up getting lost because the thing about Rome is all the buildings look alike and there's no addresses. And I got lost. I was probably walking the city for like 4 hours by myself.
Sober, not sober?
Not so sober. Not so sober, after just going to like 6 bars in a row.
Which is a little scarier, right?
Yeah, it scared the hell out of me. I became really religious really fast that night because I was so scared. But after I ended up finding my hostel and everything turned out okay, I was like, it gave me the confidence that nothing. I had the confidence in myself that even if I get lost in the middle of nowhere with a language barrier, no technology on me, that I can still find my way. So it's kind of that confidence that led me into my next trip the following year, and then the next trip, which ultimately now, I have the confidence that I love bringing groups of people over, people who have never left the country before. I really enjoy making travel less intimidating for other people.
Yeah, talk to me about that. That's kind of your why, right? Like, what is the why behind Globalized Citizen and international travel? Why is it so important?
For me, it's really broadened my perspectives, domestically as well as internationally. And a lot of the people who I talk to who know about the travels I've done, they say, oh, I wish I could do that. But I'm in college, or I have a job, whatever it be. And the truth is no matter what your situation is, there's always a way. If you truly want to go travel, it's possible. So I just like bridging that gap for people.
Making it possible. So the number one thing people say to you when they think it's not possible to go to Thailand, to go to Indonesia, to go travel, what's the number one challenge they see, barrier?
Probably money. I think they think it's more expensive than it actually is.
Talk to us about that. What have you learned? Like, how much is it?
It really
How does it relate to us living here?
Sure. Internationally, for example, for me to stay in 4-star resorts in Thailand on the beach, honestly, luxury places, it's cheaper for me to do that than live here in the States. So for me to pay rent, to go to university, I'm actually spending more than if I was traveling internationally and staying at really nice places. So I like just educating them.
So is it we see that big plane ticket? Like I've been to Thailand and to Bali. My daughter's been living in Thailand for 3 years. And so that was my first experience at going to Asia. And so the plane ticket might be $1,500. The plane ticket's big, right? So people are thinking, they're not looking at the rest, at how low some of the rest of it is.
It's a high fixed cost, but a very low variable cost. So the longer you're there, the cheaper per day it becomes. So that's what I look at. When I'm traveling, it's like, okay, if I'm going to go somewhere for a month or a month and a half, plane ticket and all variable costs included, what does my cost per day come down to?
And what is it? For the people that are going with you, what is the cost per day?
So definitely travel, if you can, travel with other people.
Right.
So that way you can help split those costs. So for example, to stay in a hotel, you're looking at about, a nice hotel, about $20 per person or less. Villas are a great alternative as well as apartments. So you can have a great time in Thailand for under $50 a day. Well under $50 a day. If you have $50 a day to spend, you're having a great time.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit about, I love that you said, I got really religious really quick because I was having a disaster. What's been the most challenging part of because you're a college starter, right? You started a couple businesses in college. What's been the most challenging moment in your startup or your entrepreneur career?
I would say the greatest challenge has also been the greatest asset, and that was balancing a full school workload, which is 12 credits full time. I was taking on average 18 because I was trying to accelerate my progress through school. So trying to balance that as well as family, girlfriend, venture, life, it's very difficult. But I see it as an asset because now my time management skills, I have it down pretty well.
So take us back, though, to a moment of crisis in all of that.
Oh, man.
And share it with us.
It probably involves a professional selling program at UCF because they really do put a lot of work on your plate. So, I remember the very first couple weeks of the program, I'm like, I think I need to drop this because it's taking up, such a significant portion of my time. My other grades are starting, to be negatively impacted, and I can't invest as much time and energy into the venture. But really what it came down to is I signed up for it. It's a 1-year program. Let me stick through it until the end. If it gets, if it just progressively gets worse. I started time blocking.
Talk to us about that.
I had a friend at the university. His name is Faladay, and he was the one who introduced me to just the concept of Google Calendar. Really simple concept, but makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
So I'll look at week and month view, and being able to see where my appointments are and where I have free time, and it just gave me a better visualization of where my time is being spent and where I have open availability.
Yeah, so time blocking I think is fabulous. You've read The One Thing, right? The book, The One Thing?
That's my summer book.
That's your summer book. Yeah, he gives great examples of time blocking and this idea that if something's really important, you've got to invest enough time, and once you put the time on that, it's going to be easier to say no to some things, right?
That was the other thing. I don't like saying no. I'm much more of a yes person. So having the visualization of the time blocks, I didn't feel as guilty saying no because I could just show them no, look, I'm busy here, but we can do next Saturday or whatever.
Yeah. So what have you learned what's been some of your biggest lessons of being a student entrepreneur? Or what we would say young entrepreneur?
Right. I would say some of the hardest lessons I've learned involves when I invest my own money into projects before doing proper customer discovery.
Share a story with us on that.
So when I came to college, the first thing I wanted to start was a women's fitness apparel company, and I wanted to deliver high quality goods at a more balanced, low cost price compared to companies like Nike or Lululemon. So I invested over $2,000 into apparel, hiring a seamstress, different designers, long story short, I didn't do my customer discovery on the material itself
Yeah.
to see if it would be accepted by the market. It turned out to not be durable and stretchy enough for the products I wanted to create. So instantly, that was $2,000 down the drain, which is really, really hard being a college student. Like that's.
Yeah, you feel that. That's a
Yeah.
lot of top
That's
ramen.
like I might not eat for like a week at least.
It's a trip to Thailand.
That's a trip to Thailand, exactly. But, in hindsight, I'm happy it happened to me because of what I've learned through customer discovery. I know people who have made this mistake with $40,000 or more.
Right.
So I'm blessed I was only $2,000.
So what are the lessons you took out of that specifically that you did in your next venture?
So the next venture, I did web for a while, and the nice thing about doing web development or online marketing in general is generally low cost and low barriers to entry. So I kind of transitioned from this venture that needs a lot of capital to develop to something that's less barriers of entry, low cost.
Right.
So that way it was less risk on my part.
You get more traction, start making some cash.
Yeah, so the idea was to create something that could generate revenue to funnel into other ideas that I had.
So what were the specific things you did different at customer discovery or at the beginning?
Mm-hmm. It was definitely trying to identify like a specific niche for me to work in within web. So initially I thought that I was going to go down the real estate agent type of route. So I was talking to a lot of real estate agents trying to figure out what they are looking for in their online marketing and try to build a platform around that. I ended up doing a lot of pivots along the way, going from real estate agents to apartment complexes to ultimately just creating my own online marketing tools, such as my content hub. I started sourcing content writers, the best content writers in Orlando, and building a platform for them to be able to meet customers and create content for them.
Because through your conversations, you identified that content was the real issue?
Exactly. There's so many developers, but there's a limited supply of really good, high-quality content producers.
Wow. And what kind of content does My Content Hub do?
We manage companies' blogs, email strategies, and social media campaigns.
Okay. So when you look at, you have never been without an idea or a venture since 3. This is
Pretty much. My mind has always been, rolling from one idea to the next.
Why this lifestyle?
It's fun. I mean, I love risk. I'm the type of person who likes cave diving and skydiving, and to me there's really no difference with entrepreneurship. It's that adrenaline feeling, what's next and always looking forward to something. So for me it's just entertaining.
So it's entertaining to you. Sometimes people tell me that they wish some people would have been more honest about how tough it is.
Sure. Right.
What do you think people really need to know about the backside? There's a sexy side of being an entrepreneur and starting stuff. What's the backside reality?
The reality is it's hard as hell. It's really difficult. So it's really important to make sure that you're very passionate about what you're doing. Otherwise, the hard days are just going to kill you. It's your passion that gets you through the hard days and makes the good days even more enjoyable.
Tell me a little bit about how has your passion helped you navigate, because it sounds like you're at a lot of things going right now. How is your passion informing where you're investing yourself?
I think I kind of had an epiphany about 8 months ago, and it was that I was doing web and online marketing so I could go travel, because that's where my true passion was, because I wanted to pursue this whole global tech nomad thing, earn dollars, spend pesos, live internationally. And then I was
Say that again. Earn dollars.
Spend pesos or Thai baht or whatever it be, and then finally working with mentors, I was like, why not just align my passion with my entrepreneurial abilities? And that's kind of what birthed Globalized Citizen. I've had the idea, I was sitting on that idea for a couple of years, but it was finally like, now is the time to go at this full force.
So instead of doing all these things to finance travel, do your venture exactly in what your sweet spot is.
Exactly. The business model was already there. I was bringing people internationally. I was handling all the logistics, the negotiations. I was being a guide as well. So I was like, man, the model's already there. Let's just start scaling this a little bit. Still wanted to run the online marketing campaigns, but I knew that I didn't have the time or the energy to be able to do everything. I'm only one man, so I started getting what I call champions, just people who were passionate about the type of work that I was involved in. Definitely did a good portion of equity sharing, so they feel motivated to want to continue.
So My Content Hub has a champion that you're sharing equity or revenue with,
Yeah.
and then you have another one?
Yeah, I have several. So My Content Hub does the content production, Pixelbox Studios does WordPress development, and Live Chat Hub provides 24/7 live chat sales support for websites.
And your structures, they each have a
Champion.
and there's some kind of economic revenue share or equity. And then your focus is
Globalized citizen.
Awesome.
Because that's where I feel most passionate about working in. So I figured, why not empower other people to make their own economic engines within the projects I've already established?
Yeah. Is there a book or something what's had the biggest impact on your journey, as the person you're becoming?
I would say 2 books. The first one is The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which I was introduced my senior year of high school, and that's kind of what led the whole global tech nomad. And then the most recent book, which I read last semester, is called The Only Way to Win, because I was finding that I was losing motivation. Like, this idea of getting a big house and a Lamborghini wasn't motivating me anymore, so I'm like, what the heck,
Take a minute.
Yeah.
The big house and the Lamborghini weren't doing it?
No, it wasn't doing it anymore. Because with entrepreneurship, my whole goal was to, get through school, pay the bills, and travel. And when I accomplished all those things, I thought the next thing was like a big house and the Lamborghini, but I just found it really wasn't driving me anymore. So The Only Way to Win, that book focuses on transitioning from extrinsic forms of motivation to intrinsic. So for me, I was starting to identify every challenge that I was faced with, whether it's through life or entrepreneurship, as an opportunity to build my own character. And because I've noticed that I have a lot of flaws myself.
Really?
Yeah,
we
of
all
course.
do, right?
So just having an opportunity to identify my blind spots and work towards, becoming a better person, a better character.
So the book helped you move from extrinsic to intrinsic and start taking a look at the person you wanted to become.
Exactly.
And what was really motivating. What did you find really is your motivation?
Definitely, for me, it's interpersonal relationships are very important to me. My relationships with my family, and ultimately being able to have a long-lasting impact on people's lives. So that's when I knew, like, it clicked for me. Globalized Citizen is it, because regardless of the money, because I think when you're focused on building character, money is just going to come either way.
Yeah.
But I started thinking, if I'm bringing people on 2-week, 4-week trips through Thailand, they will never forget that.
Right.
When they're 75 years old, they will remember the time that they went to Thailand. And maybe they will remember me. I hope they do. But it was just long-lasting impacts.
That sounds like a spiritual awakening, like coming to meaning and purpose, right? What, when you think of spiritual practices and faith, how has that informed your journey?
I was definitely I would say discovering myself going through college. So I got involved with, I'm Jewish, so I got involved with Central Florida Hillel. And I didn't really, at the time, I didn't really know what it meant to be Jewish. I knew I was Jewish by blood, but I wasn't religious. So I thought maybe I wasn't Jewish enough to kind of be involved with that community. But I think ultimately, I'm still going through that discovery phase. I don't really know what God means to me yet, but I think I have a long road to go down to have an opportunity to learn.
Well, I think that's like the seeking, the spiritual seeking. What if God is more mystery than we give him credit for, or for, right? Like, it's like almost our culture wants to take this down to a recipe.
Sure.
And if it really is the supernatural everything, there might be a long journey of understanding that.
I think ultimately it's going to take a lifetime.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so powerful about faith. The entrepreneur has to have faith to step in and kind of see that there's something they can create and there might not be anything here. And the spiritual believer has that same thing. There's kind of this unseen knowing.
It's a vision. I think it's a vision. And it's, just deciding. Yeah, in that terms, like, faith and entrepreneurship is very similar because you have this vision, and you might be able to share the vision with other people, but ultimately it takes action to be able to discover what that road looks like.
Right, you have to execute.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your advice to someone that's sitting out there and maybe a little discouraged, they're not getting the traction they want, or they feel like they're going to be broke forever and eating ramen forever, or they feel like they're the only one that have these huge dreams and they're just not there yet?
Sure. One of the best lessons I learned from my mentor named Rob Schwartz is that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So really think about who are you surrounding yourself with, because for me, growing up, I've had some negative people in my life, and people that you may even love, but are just really negative influencers on your life. But definitely build yourself a support, positive team, because if you're around negative people who are always putting you down, to be able to build beautiful things, you need to be around positive, beautiful people.
Oh, I
And
love that. To build beautiful, say it again.
To build beautiful things, you need to be around positive and beautiful people who are beautiful on the inside, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Right? So what are your 3 pieces of advice to someone that's building a business or taking their passion and making it their life's work? They're designing a life they love. What are 3 pieces of advice you'd give them?
So if you're like really early stage, just idea development, don't be afraid to share your idea with other people, because the most important thing that they need at that stage is feedback, and honest feedback. And the thing is friends and family do not give you real feedback, because they will tell you whatever you want to hear. Your idea is the best idea in the world. You need to go to your people who you're going to be prospecting for customers.
Yeah.
And definitely the next thing I would say is get yourself really awesome mentors. You need to surround yourself with people who, if you do 1% what they have done, you're successful.
Wow, okay. 3?
Other than that, I would say, there's going to be those hard days. So I think one of the things that was most challenging for me is I would set these really, really high monetary goals, and then if I don't meet those goals, it would kind of kill me a little bit on the inside. So focus more on the character development of the challenges that you're being faced with by trying to accomplish your goals and reach the vision that you have set for your venture, and just look at it as a learning experience overall.
Yeah, a way of being in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're leaving. Globalized Citizens taking a trip.
Yeah, we're doing a 3-month trip to 16 countries this summer.
Wow! So where can we follow you? How do we find out more about Globalized Citizen?
Okay, so you can visit our website, which is globalizedcitizen.com.
Okay.
You can follow us on Instagram at Globalized Citizen, Facebook at Globalized Citizen, and if you'd like to follow me personally on Instagram, it's at Hello David. That's Hello David without the H.
Okay, so ELLO David.
Got it. Yep.
Okay, and you're going to be posting from all the countries you go to?
Absolutely. So between Europe, North Africa, and Southeast Asia, we got ourselves a drone, new camera equipment. We're really investing into the storytelling of the trips that we do. So we're so excited to be able to share it with everyone.
Wow. So thankful for you spending time with us, and
Thank
we
you.
will be following you at Hello David and Globalized Citizen this summer. And then some of us, I'm outside of the target age range, we've talked about this, but the rest of you can sign up right now to go on his next trip.
Absolutely. They can do it right on our website, globalizedcitizen.com. We have 2-week trips going summer 2017,
Okay.
and we have 2 4-week trips also going that same summer.
I'm so excited for you. Thanks for being such a rock star.
Thank you so much, fam.